Hey guys, it's Alec Torelli. Welcome back to an episode of Ask Alec. Today's question comes from my boy on Snapchat. He's an aspiring pro poker player who lives in Las Vegas, works part-time, and goes to UNLVs, juggling a lot. He's got a ton on his plate. He's a profitable player at 1-3 no limit, and he's averaging making about $1,000 a week. Well done, that's excellent. The problem he's having is he's having to help his family out with bills, and it's not giving him a chance to grow and move up to play 2-5. He lives at home and feels like he should help out, feels obligated, but he's frustrated because just when he feels like he's starting to get things going and get the momentum going, he has to give away half or sometimes all of his winnings back to his family to help support. Then he has to grind it back at his job, save up before he can play again, and this takes 2 to 3 weeks, and it's just this like vicious cycle that keeps going around. Feels like if he didn't have a family, he could grow his bankroll in 2 to 3 months, move up to 2-5, and move out and have things go his way. So he has mixed feelings about this. On one end, he feels obligated to help out, but he also feels a little bit, maybe resentful, dare I say, because he feels like his family makes him feel guilty for having money and playing poker to begin with. He feels like they're holding him back a little bit. So he thinks he needs to move out. He feels like that's what he should do, but he's nervous about disrupting the whole family dynamic. He's nervous about what if he busts his bankroll? He only makes minimum wages at his job. And what about school? What does he do? All right, my man, so you threw me a whirlwind of stuff here. Let's just take a step back and acknowledge that there are 4 different things at play here, and we can't tackle them all at once. The 4 things are the family, school, job, and poker. And it seems to me like while all these things got kind of mixed together here because they're all sort of interconnected in some way, that the family situation is the most stressful, the thing that needs the most attention right away. And we're going to focus on that for this video because we can't give it, I can't do everything, right? We can't cover everything. But let's talk about where you're not at with the family. It sounds to me, based on what you're saying, using words like taking advantage of and feeling like what you should do is this, and they're holding you back and they're making you feel guilty. It sounds like you're not in a situation where the current state of your relationship with your family is serving you. And it also sounds like you're not in a situation where, I know we're talking about where you're not at, but it sounds like you're not in a situation where they need your help at all costs. And I think those 2 things are important to listen to. And I think the way that I feel that that's true, I mean, I have no idea. I don't know you. I just know what you sent to me on Snapchat. But the reason why I feel like that's true is because I'm listening to what you're saying your emotions are. If the situation was like your family's supporting you at all costs, they want what's best for you, they feel really sad that you have to help support them, they're going through a really tough time, this is temporary, and they're deeply grateful for all the support you're giving them, and you're like, look, I can't pursue my dreams right now because I'm helping them out and I need to do what I gotta do, I think you would feel differently about the situation. So what that tells me is the way you're feeling tells me that it's more on the end of the spectrum where they're taking advantage of you and the relationship isn't balanced or fair right now. And that puts you in a really, really tough spot. So I feel like what needs to happen, or the only thing that really can solve this, is just being really real with them and addressing the situation head on, because the situation is not going to fix itself. I feel bad. I'm empathetic that they might be taking advantage of you, but at some point we have to also acknowledge that you can't be taken advantage of if you don't let someone take advantage of you, right? So I feel like you can't also help your family without helping yourself, because if you're not able to make money, you can't give money to your family, right? So it's not about being selfish, but it's about being realistic with what you can give, and you have to give to yourself before you give to someone else. Otherwise, that just doesn't work. So I feel like if your family's not doing everything they can to support you, that just makes no sense because they're also relying on you. So like, it doesn't make any sense to me that you wrote to me in your message that like you feel like you have to sneak out of the house to play poker so they don't find out. But it feels like that they should be really grateful that you're playing, assuming that you're winning and you're profitable and you're being responsible, which it sounds like you are, because they're relying on that they're relying on your bankroll for their family situation. So I feel like you got to address this. You got to address this disconnect. And so I think there's 2 ways to do that. And I would go with step 1 first, which to me would be sit down and have a real talk. And that means being vulnerable, and it means being assertive, and direct. So I would tell them you're going to continue helping them, but explain to them that it's poker that allows you to support them, and that you need their support as well. It's not like, you know, they only need your support. You need their support so that you could thrive at poker, you could thrive at school, you could have support with your job, and that you guys could support each other, because that's what a family does. And I think that being open to that, and then trying to understand their concerns and like why they're resisting poker, would be a good starting point, because there's something there that they're not liking. Maybe they're concerned that poker is going to take away from your job. Maybe they're concerned that it's going to take away from your schooling. And that's a real legitimate concern that a family has, and maybe they're just looking out for your best interest. So I feel like a talk needs to happen here, because all this shit's going to be sorted. The second option is that you have this talk and that it doesn't go well. Like, assuming that you have it in the way it needs to be had, where you're really open, you're really honest, you're really vulnerable, you're assertive, and you guys cut through all the bullshit and really talk things out. If that doesn't go well, then I think moving out is a reasonable option. And I think moving out might be a reasonable option regardless, but the intention to which you move out really matters. Moving out, having had the conversation with your family, is really going to go a long way, because it's the relationship you're going to have with them that's really important. So I would say you could move out. You could still help your family if you move out. Yes, your expenses are going to be higher, but your productivity might be higher. You might be, you might be in a better situation. You might have more energy and attention to concentrate on your schooling. You might have less stress in your life, which will help you in your school, your job, your poker. And then you could work on having your own life that you're managing, and maybe you could find time to, better juggle school, poker, and your job, to figure out how to optimize those three things without having the stress of your family. So you have 4 sort of pots right now that you're trying to keep balanced with water, and if you remove one of them, you have less to juggle with. So I think moving out could be a great solution, even though it's going to cost temporarily, it's going to cost you money, but that makes a lot of sense to me. But I feel like just doing that now and like cheating this whole conversation with your family is just that. It's going to be like avoiding something that needs to be happened. It's going to actually create more distance between you and your family long term. So I feel like going that way would be the best. One thing I would say is that I feel like there's also too much on your plate. You mentioned that you're really frustrated, you're a little bit stressed. I've noticed that for me, I can only speak from personal experience, is that when I have too much on my plate, like when I'm juggling too many things and I feel like the pressure is overwhelming, it's not a situation that's going to last long term. And so I think if you want to excel, like you want to move up in poker, right? You want to play bigger than you're playing right now. So you want to go from 1-3 making 1,000 a week to 2-5 making 2,000 a week. And then you have your job. And then school, you want to do better. You want to graduate. You want to find something that you love doing and immerse yourself in school and have friends. Then you want to have a social life. Then you got to help your family. It's like you can't master all of these things. You can't excel at all of these things. So something's got to give at some point. You could push up your poker a little bit, and then push up your school a little bit, and then mediate your relationship with your family, and then work a little bit at your job. But like eventually you're going to get to a point where something has got to give between, even if you work out the situation with your family, something is going to give between school, work, and poker. I remember for me when I was at SMU and I wanted to play poker on a professional level, I didn't have a family issue and I didn't have a job, but I just remember between school and poker, something had to give, because I wanted to compete internationally on the highest level professionally, and I couldn't do that while I was in school. I mean, you got to choose at some point. And so I'm not saying you're at that point now, but I'm just saying being aware of what is your number 1 and what is your number 2 and what's your number 3, and giving most of your energy to your number 1. Is that school? Is that poker? Is that your job? And which things are you going to sacrifice when it's time to do the other? And if you don't get to one of them, then that's okay. I'm not here to tell you which one it should be. I can't tell you for you, your priority should be poker, and that should be what you do, and forget school, forget your job. I'm not going to say that. That was what it was for me, but maybe yours at this point in your life, maybe you have a year left to graduate. Then your priority should probably be school. And then if you don't get time to play poker, or you don't get time at your job, that's fine. You're going to have to optimize how to make your money. Maybe you have to live at home because school is your priority and you can't find the time to work and make money on the side, but that's what you got to do because that's what your priority is. So understanding your priority between these top 3 things, these 3 things that you're working on, is really going to go a long way. And then having clear goals within those priorities is huge. Like school is my number 1 priority. I'm going to graduate within a year, and I'm going to try and I'm going to try and play 10 hours of poker a week, and that's it. So I think that would be a really helpful way of going about these things, but you've got to get your family shit sorted first, man. That is creating an enormous amount of stress. You don't want to have family problems. You know, you choose your friends, you can't choose your family. You really got to work this situation out and have it's going to start with having a real and a really hard conversation, I feel like. But I think it's going to go well. I think it's going to make you guys stronger. It'll make you closer, and there's some shit there that's got to get talked out. I hope this video helps. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please share it. Subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.